Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, nothing control everything. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Always appreciate it. Got a ton of people that have been listening in for years. We've been hearing from them recently. Again, from the people that have reached out for years now, and just so thankful that people give Trust Christian the ear and they make it a point to follow through. And we always appreciate everybody that comes through, that listens, and comments. Feel free to type into the chat where you listening live or listen to replay from. Definitely appreciate that. Lets the other listeners know, lets us know where people are listening live, listening to replay from. We got people that have listened from Australia for years. We got people that have listened from New Zealand. We got people that have listened from all the states all over the country. So we always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or listening to replay from. So always appreciate that. This is the Vault episode 593. We're getting up there. Just want to let you all know that the tickets pretty much they're privately disclosed at this point. If you would like to get a ticket, feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Very tight room at this point. We're doing our best to accommodate as many people as we possibly can. We aimed for, probably about 30 to 40 plus people, and we've hit those numbers. And the last few tickets, we want to make sure that these people are qualified, people, they got a business, something of that nature, and it's worth them being in a room for them, or otherwise we'll just do one-on-ones. So Christian at trustchristian.com, always appreciate it. This episode, ladies and gentlemen, pay up versus pay off mentality. We said this to a trustee the other day. They got a little weirded out, didn't really understand what we're talking about. So we're just going to clarify this mentality. Appreciate SoCal for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate SoCal for tuning in live, listening to replay. Thank you, SoCal. We've been to SoCal before. We have had trustees in SoCal, so definitely feel free to reach out about the workshop, Christian at trustchristian.com. Otherwise, we'll see you there. If you already booked, safe travels for everybody that is listening. That's a trustee that they've already booked their tickets, and they want to know it's at the same location. Yep, it's at the same location, ladies and gentlemen. So no same day tickets, no showing up at the door. We've always had security at all of our events. We have families in the room that are looking to protect their privacy, so we appreciate that. So that's how we'll be moving. Episode 593, ladies and gentlemen, pay up versus pay off mentality. This is very important. Somebody actually just typed into the chat, are we going to do a SoCal event? We do private events with private groups. And so this is an event where there is a private group that wanted us to come to Atlanta. But if we obviously have enough demand in another geographical location, then we will make it a point to go to that environment. But, until we really have that demand and, that's not the case, we don't want to talk bad about Southern California, California, but it's just be aware of the jurisdictions that you all live in, ladies and gentlemen. What is the jurisdictions favorable for? What's the benefit of living in these jurisdictions? So it's no slight towards any jurisdiction in particular, but there are some jurisdictions that are going to be a lot more favorable than other jurisdictions, and so you just have to be aware of that. If you're saying you're not aware of it, then what's the point of being in trusteeship? So, SoCal, California overall is just something you want to kind of double check. Like, is Cali really? It's not all of the states, to be honest. They're common law for the most part. Outside Louisiana, it's going to be common law, so they're open to doing business in common law fashion. The only thing is once again you deal with Louisiana, they're dealing in civic and Napoleonic laws. So Most of the other states are very favorable to, common law style jurisdictions and things of that nature. So there's benefits to moving around, but once again, are you in an environment where people are focused on privacy? I mean, you think about California. California and New York are the two biggest states that we could almost say they disarmed their population. It's almost illegal to walk around with guns. We're not saying that it's completely illegal, but it's something that's not overly favorable. You have to think about those things when you're in an environment and you're looking to enforce your privacy or your rights, quote unquote. If you have a right, quote unquote, to bear arms, or if you have a right to carry a gun, in other states, and then when you go into certain states, it's almost like criminal if you're walking around with it. We're not even saying you're doing anything with it, then what's the problem? But just be aware of the jurisdiction and the environment you're in. And those things dictate the mindset, or the mindset is being permeated in those environments. So that's why we really want to do this episode today: pay up versus a payoff. This is one of those episodes where we got to make it clear: you're either going to pay up or you're waiting for a payoff. A lot of people are waiting for payoffs. It's a job mentality. You got to pay up, ladies and gentlemen. Trusteeship is a pay up mentality. You got to have a pay up mentality. The mentality that I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to earn my spot, I'm going to put together a team to protect my family estate. It's that simple. Payoff mentality is, well, I should get a payoff. That could be correct. You should get a payoff, but we don't know when. But before you get a payoff, there's a pay up. So let's address this poverty mentality, this broke mentality that people come to trustee training and they say, oh man, I'm just trying to spend a few $1,000s. But you're trying to protect the $10,000 plus asset. You're trying to protect thousands of dollars per asset. Now, this isn't even insurance. It's asset protection, and people still say, oh man, I don't know if I want to pay up. They're trying to cut corners financially on their education. Whether it's the entity or not, it's the education you got to pay up on. People say, oh, I want to be a trustee. First of all, most of the people that come to the vote, they do need the trustee training because they'll say, I have a trust. They're still saying, my trust. If you're in that category, pay up. Get involved. Make it a point so you can get a payoff. But the mentality of, hey, I don't know if I should pay up mentality, it's only going to lead to one thing. It's not going to lead to a payoff. There is no payoff when you don't pay up. You got to pay up, ladies and gentlemen. People say, oh man, I want generational wealth. They talking about it nowadays. They sitting on the internet talking about it. They talk about, oh, this, that, and the third about a trust. Ladies and gentlemen, when you enroll in a private trustee training, first of all, it's private. The price is not the same as a public. Pay up. Learn the private. Oh man, I don't know if I could pay for that. Then you don't need the private. Go pay for the public. It's at a discount. It's at a discount in the public. You don't need to wonder whether you're going to get a payoff in the private if you're not going to pay up. Where is this mentality? Oh man, trust Christian vote. I'm trying to protect the $100,000 asset, and I don't even got $2,000. What makes you think you deserve the asset then? Right, most of the time, it's not an asset. It's a liability. And most people are liabilities to the liability. How do you get around that? You pay up. You invest in your private education. Bottom line, you got to invest in your private education. It's not going to be easy. No one says it's going to be easy. We're sitting over here doing a ticket for $300 now, and people still wondering, man, I wonder if I should pay that. The wealth conferences that we go to cost more than $1,000 each person, $2,000 each person. Now, if your company's paying for that, it's a business educational expense. You got to pay up for that education. Paying up is reading. Are you going to read a little bit so you can learn how to execute the things you want to execute? People in trust deal with people in trust. Bottom line. In our environment, we remember sitting there with our mentor one day. Said, trust Christian in the boat, just to let you know. In our environment, people don't negotiate. They just make you an offer and you either accept it and you get in business with them, or they buy your business out. They don't negotiate. You hear how this works? You got to pay up for that education. You got to pay up to be in that position. It's a pay up versus a payoff mentality. Payoff mentality is, when am I going to get paid? How am I going to get paid? Pay up mentality understands it takes time to build something. You might have to read quite a bit, but are you reading the right things in trusteeship? A lot of people say, oh man, trust Christian Revolt. I read this book, I read that book, but you still calling it your trust. How much longer we got to talk about this? We're not going to give up, because that means that we already know most people, they're in that position. It's their trust. You hear how we talking? That's what they say. So if it's your trust, we know what time it is then. It's personal, it's not business. We had trustees for years not pay up. Then they finally came around and said, I got to pay up, Trust Christian Revolt. Why? Because I need to get my stuff rolling, because I waited too long for family members. You got to pay up when the family members aren't around. You got to say, oh, Trust Christian Revolt, when you got involved in this, did you do it by yourself? Did you have your family involved? No. So the story goes like this. Trust Christian, at the time of, just probably about like mid to late 20s, um, was studying hard. Everybody comes to the vault, they say, oh man, I knew it was something that wasn't right with the system. I felt it in my bones. Well, if you got the feeling in your bones, you got to pay up with your bones. Not avoid the pay up. So how do you avoid, how do you get around the I don't have enough mentality? Oh man, I don't got enough money. I don't got enough time. So we got involved with we were moving around, ladies and gentlemen, as far as the conversations we were having with people. We went through the Moorish information, Taj Tariq and those guys. Yo, don't name drop, Christian. What you talking about? We done did workshops. We done cut checks over at the vault. We got recordings where we cut checks with the what you think are the gurus. These guys that don't want to show you how to move privately, that want you to live in poverty. How you gonna be wealthy and living in poverty? It don't work. You gotta pay up. So we did workshops with these guys. Trust Christian in the Vault. So, okay. Trust Christian in the Vault. You was studying the Moorish science, you was studying the dictionary, you thought you had to claim your nationality. You don't want to be a citizen. You don't want to be you don't want to be the government name. You don't want to be mixed up as a person. You're not a Sesta K trust, right? Pay up means you know how to act, not just know how to talk. Pay up. So Trust Christian Revolt is just, making it a point to get around the right circles. How do you pay up? You gotta get around the right circles. You gotta associate with the right people. That means coming to the workshop. And the wild part about it is, what people saw as our lineup at the workshop, we've upgraded the lineup. We've upgraded the lineup because at this point, Trust Christian Revolt, we're not playing around. Like, people talk all this stuff about, oh, they want to be in trusteeship and they want to be around great people. Well, what you got to do is you got to invest in your relationships. Definitely got to invest in your relationships. You need people to pick up the phone when you call, and you need them to respectfully answer you when you're talking and speaking. Bottom line. So you got to invest in the relationships. That's a pay up. You got to get out your comfort zone. That's a pay up. You got to travel across the country. That's a pay up. Trust Christian in the Vault. We got this information by paying up, traveling across the country, getting the information with specific mentors. So let's continue along this road. So, okay, mid to late 20s, Trust Christian in the Vault said, okay, we need to figure out the relationships that we need. So we explored a few different relationships, but finally one day we get a phone call and we get a message. And it's with one of the mentors. And one of the mentors, He's talking all the good stuff. Talking about charity, talking about business, talking about those good things, passing along the legacy, but specifically structurally. Okay. So we followed up with the mentor. That's the first thing. How do you pay up? You follow up. You pay up by going through with the training, finding out about the event. Oh man, I don't know if I have enough money. That doesn't matter. You'll figure it out. So we reached out to the mentor at that time. The mentor said we can come to a workshop. That's how we first got the information. We went to a private family workshop. So we went to a private family workshop. There was about 30, 40 people in the room. Plus, it was jam packed. Um, so we exercised that relationship. We went in. We made it a point to learn. We asked questions, and we moved on. That's simple. We paid up. So you go in, you learn the information that you need to learn from the mentor, and if there's no way to partner up, then you keep it moving. So we learn the information. We're still sitting around people right now, ladies and gentlemen, that we had at an event yesterday, 25 plus people privately uh, in a specific location, and they're like, trust, trust, trust. And we're like, well, what about the foundation? Every wealthy person has a foundation, every wealthy person has a charity. You get people come on the line and say, oh, I got a charity, but you don't have a foundation. Oh, I got a foundation, but is it private? See how we keep going with it? There's levels to the information, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you're paying up for. You're paying up to learn the levels of the information. There's sophisticated processes and procedures in place. So let's talk about it. Paying up, went into the environment. We said, oh man, this is going to cost us right here, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, you're right. It's going to cost you. Said, okay, we went back home. We put a team together. We had a team of two, and we went in, and we actually, the first part of it, we actually did on our own. Actually, now that I think about it, Trustee Training actually, at that time, there wasn't too many Trustee Training programs out there, so that's how that worked. But on the back end of that, we have Trustee Training, so we know the value of Trustee Training. Uh, so we go in, we do it on our own, but then we got to the foundation. We're like, oh man, this is a man in the mountain. You know, wealthy families have foundations. I don't got enough money for a Trust Christian Vault, then you might have to find some family members or friends that can help you and work with you. So that's what we did. We made it a point to get in business with someone, and we made it happen. Just like that. Just like that. The pay up mentality says it's okay to partner up with someone else. The pay up mentality says it's okay to recruit talent. The pay up mentality says I'm going to figure out a way. The payoff mentality is, hey, call me when you did it, Trust Christian Vault. Call me when you did this. Call me when you do that. Hey, look out for me if I got when you make some money. Oh, really? It's not gonna work that way. Cause the pay up mentality is focused on investing. The payoff mentality is focused on taking and receiving. Pay up mentality is, oh, I got a social security insurance number. That's a payoff, ladies and gentlemen. I have a social security number. A pay up says they're taking that money from you as the entrepreneur and as well as the employee. It's time to pay up, ladies and gentlemen. Pay into your future, your family's future, your family estate. If you got assets, ladies and gentlemen, you got to invest in protecting those assets. Why would it be cheap? Oh man, I could go get this form right here off the internet. You're right. But at the same time, is it private or is it public? Right. We don't just sell anything in particular. It's all about what? It's all about training. It's about education. It's a pay up mentality. Are you paying up for education? Oh man, I thought I was gonna get a free education like I did in public school, which literally gave someone the payoff mentality. Think about somebody else doing it. The payoff mentality comes from studying. Oh man, I gotta study, trust, Christian, and vault. You gotta practice being a trustee. You've been practicing your whole life being an employee. And then we got people that practice being entrepreneurs. Those are usually the most successful trustees because they're not looking to get in and sit down on assets. They're looking to get in and grow an asset base. That's why traditionally people in trust for sure are entrepreneurs because they understand that it's not a payoff mentality. It is a pay up mentality. Oh man, trust Christian Vault, it's hard to leave my job. Well, what do you do when you get off work? It's pay it up. Pay it forward, as they say. Are you going out to networking events? Business events? Right. Christian at trustchristian.com. Christian at trustchristian.com. Thank you everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is the Vault. We definitely got the workshop coming up. We thank everybody for coming. Appreciate everybody for coming. Appreciate everybody that inquired. Appreciate it. It's going to be a very epic event because we're going to make it a point to pay up and bring the best people that we could bring into the room at that time. And that's tough for people to hear because it's like, dang, what do you mean you're going to bring the best? That's what we're bringing. We're bringing the best, ladies and gentlemen. Not looking to bring people that are not, solid as far as like getting the job done. It's a pay up mentality. Some of these people are not going to be on the internet. It's a pay up mentality. They don't need to pay it off and be on the internet. Oh man, I got to be on the internet. For what? Their business is already successful. They've been doing it for 20 years, pre-internet, quote unquote. Right. We appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 593. This is a very specific episode for people that have a payoff mentality. Let me do just enough to get enough information to where now I'm by myself again as a trustee instead of buying into the relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, we done bought into relationships because you buy into those things. You buy into them by investing in the environment that you're in with them. That's the difference. Are you paying up, ladies and gentlemen, or are you paying out, waiting for a payout? Oh man, I just needed the disbursement to come. If I get a disbursement, I'll be alright. If I had some money, I'll be alright. This is what they say. Knowing that you're not supposed to own nothing, control everything. That's real simple. It's a pay up mentality. How much are you willing to pay up for your family estate? Are you willing to invest, quote unquote, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000? But you got $100,000 house plus you looking to inherit. Or you got over a $50,000 piece of property and you got to pay for it. That's that. If you know you got these type of situations going on, well, let's make it a point to make it work as a pay up, not a payoff. Paying up is just studying. Make it a point to study the information that you need to study so we can know it's a clear indication that you're not looking for a payoff. This is a very unique episode because so many, they say, oh man, I need to learn trusteeship. But then when they get hit with a notice, everything changes. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, replay. You guys are going to be getting a lot of updates over the next few days and weeks because trustee training, ladies and gentlemen, it's got to go up. It's time to pay up. That payoff stuff is for the cheapskates. They want to be in wealth management, but they don't want to pay up. Well, what if I don't know? That's what the training is for. That's why you got to get into training. The pay up means you're going to pay to be in certain environments on a weekly basis. A monthly and a weekly basis. Sure, you could not do it every day, but you got to pay to be in those rooms. Memberships to different organizations. Yes, that's a pay up mentality. not a payoff. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. You've now tuned into the vault. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live. Once again, listening to replay. SoCal and many other states. Peace and joy.